Welcome to All Things Quiz for QUIZZY Monday on Magic Monday, as it's now known because of two fantastic matches on Only Connect and University Challenge, and nothing at all to do with the Olympics. So welcome everybody to QUIZZY Monday. A reminder, and I'll put it along in the banner here, that if you post any comments, we can see your comments and we can mention them on camera, respond to them, answer any questions you may have. So feel free to tell us your comments. I'll just put up the branding there so that you remember what you're watching. So yeah, welcome. Two great matches. We're going to press straight on into the chat. We've got a number of guests that you've seen on screen this evening. We've got Matthew Lloyd from the victorious Hertford team. We've got Bhagwan and Paul from the Jukeboxers and Tim from the Apollos from Only Connect. I will bring all of these on and we will get cracking. Later on, though, in the show, just so I don't forget, we will be announcing the winner of Quizzer of the Week and Quiz Team of the Week, which we've been voting for all week. So we'll let you know who's won those votes later on. So for now, let me welcome to the stream our guests today. Paul, Tim, Bhagwan and Matthew. Welcome, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hi. So, yeah. Congratulations to some, not to all. Tim, fantastic performance by your bunch. Not good enough this time round, but you showed enough to indicate that you'll do well. Matthew, I think perhaps we'll crack on with University Challenge, and then if you need to, you can escape later and do other things. But great performance by your team tonight, Matthew. An all-round performance as well. That must have really pleased you that everybody was chipping in well.
Yeah, it was really satisfying, actually. I felt we had a balanced team, but it's always good to actually see that work out.
Yeah, how many? I missed the comment about how many people there are in your college. It's not one of the big ones, though, is it?
To be honest, I can't remember the exact number. It's sort of 400 or so.
Yeah. So to come up with a team like that, with that spread of knowledge and that balance, with small numbers, how did you go about finding the right team?
So we started with the usual thing of just taking some sample questions that the production team send out, setting a written test, and then this year I sort of decided to do something which I hadn't done before, which was to then sort of take a short list from that and try a second round of trial, so on the buzzer, for which I sort of pulled together a mix of different questions, some UC style, some sort of dragged off the Quiz Bowl archives, and also I made my own picture music rounds, which entertained me at least. So, and then
that on Twitter, actually.
That gave me, I think, a much better idea of where people's strengths lay, and yeah, helped put together a good team.
Tremendous. Just touching on the other two teams that we had in Only Connect, were you teams of people who knew each other, or were you thrown together by the production team?
Well, for Jukeboxers, I suppose ours is a bit of a romantic tale. We were all contestants who won on the same show of the Chase. So we won as a threesome, formed a WhatsApp group that day, kept in touch. The other two are great people, and just must say that Laura is planning to appear tonight, but she's unwell, unfortunately, so we wish her the best. And we just felt we've got a really good dynamic. So, you know, it's like win or lose, we know we'll have a great time on a show as we did on the Chase. And yeah, we went for Only Connect and thought, why not?
Fantastic. And Tim, you were on a team with Terry Pratt, who I've come up against on a TV quiz myself. How did you lot get together?
Well, originally, it's a rather long story. Originally, I applied as an individual with Rob and another guy who auditioned in 2017. Then the third guy had to pull out. I asked a friend who was a quizzer if he wanted to do it. And he said, actually, I have a friend called Terry Peck who's interested. So Terry kind of joined the team last. But I've actually auditioned 3 times altogether. The first time I auditioned, through quizzing.co.uk.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, good different kind of formulation. So Matthew was a much more kind of deliberate, trying to find the right blend, and it worked. When I'm looking at buzzes, I think 3 out of the 4 of you got buzzes. I might have missed one by Bridget, but 3 out of the 4 buzzes. But really good team dynamics once you were into the bonuses as well. Were there things that you practice, you know, buzzer skills and stuff like that?
Yeah, we did some practice as a team. I mean, Lucy and I also both sort of active in Quiz Bowl as well, which I think definitely helps. So yeah, but definitely team practices. Yeah, we did both plenty of starters and bonuses to sort of get that ability to sort of puzzle things out. Yeah.
Are you active in the UK student Quiz Bowl scene? Do you play other colleges outside of Oxford, or is it really kind of an Oxford University thing for you?
So yeah, I play on various Oxford teams. Yeah, I've been doing that for a few years now, ever since the last time Hertford was on UC, which is when I was the reserve, and so that's what got me into quiz. Yeah.
So that's your journey fulfilled, then, isn't it? They almost making the team and then making it on. Did it live up to expectations? You must have had in your mind what it would be like to be on the team, and then you were captain as well. How did it compare to what you thought it would be?
I thought it went very well, actually. It's yeah, you really have no idea what you don't know anything about the team you're coming up against. So yeah, just had to be prepared to sort of give it our best shot, and fortunately, it went well. Yeah.
It did went very well. A really good, consistent team performance, as I said, and LBS kind of struggled to get in, apart from one player, I think Butterworth, is it? And then Ruiz came in towards the death with some good buzzes. But yours were all spread around nicely. What were your kind of favourite moments? You know, your best gets.
I was quite chuffed with a few of my sort of guesses on the bonuses. Samuel Taylor Coleridge was quite a good one. Rubens as well. It was just, I had a vague idea in my mind that it looked stylistically right, but I really didn't know. So those were quite satisfying.
There was one that stood out to me watching it, and it was the Lithuania one. And it was almost like you could see your thought process there, because it hadn't been mentioned, but just something must have triggered in you to come up with an answer like that. I mean, I was sat there thinking Vitautis. There used to be someone called Vitautis Landsbergis. Where was he from? That was kind of my route towards it. But, you know, for you, were you conscious of that sort of thing, or was it just intuition?
Yeah, I think it may have been in the back of my mind that I heard this come up once in a tournament in practice or something, but it just sounded right. I don't know quite where it came from, but yeah.
Oh, well, it's superb. We got some comments. Claire Barrow says, I thought tonight's was a noise round rather than the music round. I think Michael McPartland will object to that, or not Michael, Mark Cooper would object to that description of Manic Street Preachers. Grace is saying, lovely week this week. She's only here to make her weekly appearance. She's got a Doctor Who mystery to try and solve. Grace is bailing out on us. That's not good. Grace, you're our regular. Gerard saying, I'm going to brag that I topped 300 for the first time on UC tonight. It must be a combination of round one and teams getting through questions so quickly. Watching it back, Matthew, is it one of these things where it's kind of, there were loads that got away, or was it a case of actually you did pretty much as good as you could have done?
I mean, it felt like a bit of a blur, to be honest. The half an hour sort of went very quickly. There were some things that did get away. Like, for example, I knew that Durham was on the Weir. Hadn't quite clued into the fact that they're asking for Weir Dale. I couldn't work out what on earth Weir anagrammed into as the US states, obviously. Yeah. Delaware is easy enough if you've got the Dale there. Also, I knew Caravaggio, but I was just a bit too slow.
Yeah. And that's kind of critical, isn't it? And it was, it wasn't a bad guess. I think it was Gentileschi, wasn't it? Was
yeah, no, it's a smart guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, one of those things. But so I know I play QB League, which is a quiz bowl style online tournament, and this week I just found myself sitting in the blocks just a bit too long in the first half of the game, and always being beaten to the buzzer, and I just had to mentally kind of change my tactics as I went. Did you have kind of a risk profile going into this game of how aggressive you might be on the buzzer?
I mean, I think I tend to be quite conservative on the buzzer, not very aggressive, and I think that's kind of how I played. Yeah, didn't take any wild guesses except for when the question finished. Yeah.
But yeah, so did very, very well, and the winning margin was quite a convincing one. Just checking now, 100 to 180. If there was anything that you regret, is there an answer you missed that is really chewing at you?
I mean, some of them I sort of watching back. I don't know quite what I was thinking, but it doesn't necessarily mean I would have got it. But just some things I was like, I don't know, like discounting Richard the First is clearly not the right answer, and then saying it somehow, like forgetting I'd already discounted it. It looked a bit daft.
But did you feel pressure in there? The pressure of time, the pressure of Paxman looking at you, the game situation. Did that kind of force you into rushing your thought process or anything like that?
The game situation was quite favourable. We sort of led pretty much all the way, actually. I think, yeah, all the way. So didn't feel too pressured by that. Had to sort of try and kind of focus quite carefully on what Jeremy was saying. Sometimes it's not the easiest to pass, so just sort of trying to keep focused on the question. Yeah.
I wonder if the other guys watching who were on Only Connect tonight, how did you find the questions?
Pretty much as I expected, actually.
Sorry, Tim, you're a little bit. It's a little bit noisy, Mike.
I mean, some easier, some harder. I'm annoyed we didn't get the one with the double bass player. For some reason, it's miscommunication with Jeremy. And I think the other team talked themselves out of the right answer as well. That's where we both messed up.
Cool. We'll actually come on to Only Connect in a little while. Let's just ask about University Challenge. If any of you caught University Challenge, that's all right. What you kind of found of the questions? Bhagwan, if you caught any of it.
I always think that University Challenge is way harder, so I did catch any of it, but I'm very much, because it's a lot more fast paced than Only Connect seems to be. So it's very much you don't have that chance to confer and discuss and as much as you do on Only Connect. So I'm very much happy to say I didn't get as many on the University Challenge, but I mean both teams did very, very well, I have to say. Really, really good.
The one thing that is similar between the two shows is the buzzer action that you have in Only Connect in the final round, and kind of that pressure to get on the buzzer. And Paul and Bhagwan, your team did particularly well tonight. Did you have any tactics on the buzzer?
Not particularly. We didn't really discuss anything. I think we were still kind of like children. We were such in awe of the noise the buzzer made, how it all looked in the studio, and it was just we were saying that we just loved the sound of the buzzers. Having been on a different game show like The Chase, which was wonderful in its own way as well, to actually be as a team with buzzers and being able to confer, it was just wonderful. And that final round for us just seemed to click. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how fast you're going to be, and you don't know how fast the other team's going to be. And it's just so fast. It's almost like watching the show back tonight. That whizzed by. And certainly that final round at the time was literally, it was breathless for us. Well, certainly for me being part of it, and I think we all said the same as a team afterwards. It was it was manic.
I remember turning to Paul at the end saying, "Did that actually just happen?" Because it just seemed so quick. It's insane.
because there is the same similarity between UC and OC in that when there are picture questions, the audience at home sees it significantly before the people in the studio. So, you know, people will be going, oh, I beat them to that. But actually, Matthew, I'm sure it's the case that people are buzzing pretty much as soon as the picture comes up. Is that right?
Yeah, typically, yeah. I mean, the picture obviously doesn't come up for the contestants until Paxman finishes reading the question. And in the meantime, obviously, the TV audience has been seeing it for a little while. So, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a similar experience for Only Connect as well, isn't it, on the Missing Vowels, that you're waiting for it to appear on the screen in the studio. And meanwhile, the people at home are watching and working it out ahead of you. We've got a comment here from somebody who's on in this series. Completely agree with Matthew about the blur. I'm on in a couple of episodes' time with QM. I'm not sure what university or college that is. Do you guys sometimes feel on TV you sometimes miss things in questions? And Matthew, you talked about passing what you were hearing. Is that, you know, did you find much of that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm guessing QM is Queen Mary's London, but yeah, yeah, definitely missed stuff. Yeah, quite a few things. Yeah.
But it didn't cost you at all. So you obviously through to the next round, and the next round, is this one of these rounds a bit like Only Connect where even if you lose you get another go, or is it straight knockout?
Second round is straight knockout. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, then you get a second chance if you're the highest scoring loser in the first round, but no, second round straight knockout.
Okay. And then in terms of kind of filming it, when were you filming it?
So this episode has just gone out, was filmed in lockdown, hence I hadn't been able to get a haircut in months. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, difficult. And then how long did you have to wait for the next round?
It was a month, couple of months gap, which is actually the usual. Yeah.
Okay, not too bad. Only Connected filmed over a more compressed time scale, isn't it? Certainly when I did it, it was over a couple of weekends or a couple of weeks. Is that the case still?
Was it a couple of months? I think our second show was a couple of months. So
March was that was just filmed, and then the second lot of filming was May, sort of mid-May, and then the last sort of May, June time was, so there was that bit of time in between, sort of about at least a good 8 weeks in between filming the 2 blocks.
Yeah, we filmed during quite a restrictive period, so we didn't get to see barely anything of Cardiff, let alone the best of Cardiff. It was hotel rooms, Uber Eats orders, 3 separate meals, and being in contact. So we had a great experience at the show, but the night before, I think it kept it a bit real. It kept us kind of not too nervous, maybe, because it just felt like we were Alan Partridge the night before, just in our little hotel rooms, maybe gelling up on a couple of things, but well worth it for the actual experience in the studio.
Did you bring your own plate with you? That's what we want to know.
I didn't take one back.
Was it much the same for you, Matthew? You would have had to have gone up to Salford and stay up there. Was it very regimented as well?
Yeah, sadly, it was. So we didn't get to. Normally we'd meet the other team, sort of have food and drinks in the green room, and also to chat with Jeremy and Roger, but no, none of that, unfortunately.
Do you feel you missed out on something, or is it just kind of it's a unique experience? It is what it is.
I mean, it's obviously a great experience to be on, regardless. But yeah, it was a shame that we didn't get that.
Well, I mean, it's good that you've got another shot now. You've got another match to look forward to, and we're looking forward to seeing your team in action again. They're a very strong team, and we'll see what happens when you come back on. Any final thoughts? Any final comments? Obviously, we don't want any spoilers, but in terms of kind of your team and how you played, is there anything you thought after this that you would do differently?
Not too much, really. I think maybe be a little bit more, try to be a bit more aggressive on the buzzer, but it was good enough in this match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's tremendous. Thanks for coming on. You're welcome to stay as we talk Only Connect stuff, but equally you are more than welcome to disappear if you don't feel you got anything to contribute in that regard. But it's been great having you on and hearing from you, and best of luck in the next round, Matthew.
Yeah, thanks so much, and thanks for having me. I'm afraid I feel kind of how you feel about UC, sort of with Only Connect. I find it much more difficult to get anything, so probably won't be able to contribute that much to that. But yeah, it was good to be on.
No worries. Thank you very much. Well, we will now just very quickly step away from the evening's TV, and I'm just trying to. My producer Valerie is unfortunately not well today, so I am trying to operate to, and I'm pressing the wrong button because I'm in net. So I'm trying to operate the presentation I'm about to bring on the screen, which should be with us any moment, which will tell us who is the winner of Quiz Team of the Week and Quizzer of the Week. So if I bring them up, so that's the right presentation, which is good. So first and foremost, we are running a competition. This is the answer, and that is down. We released the answer down on Sunday morning, and people have been submitting questions, and they are now going out to the vote. I think there's 20 questions this week. You can vote for your favorite questions at tinyurl.com/WITQ-down, and then we will get a shortlist from those 20 questions and put them to a vote, and we'll announce the winner in Quiz Week on Friday. So get your votes in for that. And now the winners of Quizzer of the Week and Quiz Team of the Week. And Quizzer of the Week is Dave Bill. He is the captain of the Jeff Maltby fan club, who are the champions of Online Quiz League Division 1. So congratulations to Dave. There was a tie for Jack Lewis and Niall Pringle. I think Jack got a full house last week. Niall Pringle came off his COVID sickbed and played in the Quarantine Virtual Quiz League, despite feeling absolutely rotten and dosed up on painkillers. So well done to Niall for getting a share of second place. Quiz Team of the Week, the winners are the Outsiders, who completed OQL's first ever perfect 11-game season. I think they won Division 5, winning every single game. So congratulations to them. Jeff Maltby Fan Club, Division 1 champions, only managed second place. I say only, they got what they wanted, which is the championship. And third place was the Animal Lovers, who won Only Connect last week. So congratulations to all of those. And let me just check. Yes, just a reminder, we released a video, a snappily put together video about the new sports and events at the Olympics. So that's available to watch in the Quiz Academy stream on All Things Quiz, if you want to kind of understand, for quiz purposes, what you're going to need to know about these new sports and these new events, because they are going to be coming up in a quiz near you before too long. So look out for that. And that's it. So that's all kind of the adverts done. Let's go back to the four-way screen. Tim, I'm going to take you off mute. There's a little bit of noise coming from your mic. I don't know if there's anything that could be done about that.
Probably the computer. The computer's very hard. The fans.
Yeah, it's probably fan. Not a problem.
The camera's right actually on my computer, which is why it's next to the fan. I can't do that.
Okay, well, it's also if you can speak up as well, because it's a little bit noisy. We got a question here from Catherine Burkett. Do you need a certain sort of brain to be good at Only Connect? What skills do you need?
I think having a disordered mind actually helps.
Yeah, no.
In what way would you say that?
I don't know. I just use weird associations, I suppose.
Okay, so not seeing things in a predictable, linear way.
Thinking a way to most other people, having what my mother used to say, a butterfly mind, switch from one thing to the other.
Okay, interesting.
Seeing patterns, that's the other thing.
Yeah. What about you, Bhagwan?
I think very much sort of trying to think outside the box, but also not think outside the box, because sometimes the sort of connections are very, very much like one that we had on our wall. It was the backwards fish, and it just sort of came to Laura when we were filming, as you can see on the show. Yeah. So quickly, but you wouldn't think of it at the time, but it's something that's so simple. So sometimes it's very easy to overcomplicate things. So it's just sort of trying to balance, get that happy medium in between the two.
That was a brilliant get by Laura. Just spotting that, absolutely superb under that pressure, because it is nerve-wracking, isn't it, doing that wall, because you know that if it doesn't quite work for you, it could absolutely kill your game. So there's a lot of time pressure on you with that. So, yeah, think clearly. But both teams aced the wall. And I thought both of you did really, really well on the wall. Before we get onto the wall, there was a comment. I'll be interested to see if there are opinions in the comments on this. But there was a comment on Twitter about the phraseology of horned viper. I think it was Terry who said horned viper. Somebody got very, very angry about this. Now, we often hear some say, no, it's horned. Others say it's horned. Some say horned. What is the right way to pronounce this? Or what do you think the right way to pronounce it? And in the comments, tell us what you think is the right way to pronounce horned viper. Sorry, I've just given away my view. Horned viper. How do we pronounce horned viper, Paul?
I'm on your team there, Gareth.
Yeah, same here. Having watched pretty much almost, I think with so many shows over the last year or so, it seemed as though 2/3 of the teams approximately probably said horned viper. And I think it was more the fact that it's correct, but it's correct for only connect.
Yes.
I mean, that's the only way to look at it. If you haven't seen it before or just saw the word, I would say horned viper, but I was brainwashed. So I don't think I ever chose it on the first show anyway. So I didn't have that dilemma.
Well, yeah, I don't know what about you, Tim, on this, what Claire is deeming first world problems.
I have to be loyal to Terry and say it's horned viper.
Okay, so we're in the horned viper camp. Be interested to see if anybody is in the horned viper camp, because this is like the Brexit of Only Connect. It is splitting people almost down the middle. Round one. Let's look at round one. I thought it started quite conventionally, Only Connect. Quite general knowledgey. The Chad, Moldova, Andorra flags question. That's kind of a pattern recognition one. I liked the Nigella, Willow Smith, Danny Dyer. That was good. And both teams were playing really well right from the bat. Were there any of those questions that particularly you were really chuffed with getting?
I was more the fact that I felt I was a bit tentative with the flags one. I kind of knew, I thought I knew, and I think it was first question, let's get a point on the board. And what was good, it seemed between the three of us, we were in agreement. We weren't talking over, we weren't in disagreement. Obviously, we said about the bass and the cello one, but aside from that, I felt that dynamically it worked. There aren't too many regretful moments, but I do feel as though if that hadn't been the first question, I may have gone for it earlier. But yeah, I was quite frustrated that we didn't get the famous children one, because I had that, but it's the luck of the draw, and I'm sure Apollos would say the same about our questions as well.
Yeah, how about you, Tim?
So we're talking about the first round or the second round?
Talking about the first round for now, yeah.
First round, yeah. No, nothing particular. I think nothing really springs to mind.
I thought there was a really good answer, the rhyming with Ina one, because I was kind of nowhere on that one, and I think that so I think that was a good get.
I think the fact that all three of us thought it was accordion, concertina, and it was only when we saw hyena that it was like, right, that's a subpoena, it's not a summons. And luckily, I think I'm possibly the only one in the team old enough to know that was a picture of Sheena East, and possibly just pre-Prince era, I don't know.
Yeah, there or thereabouts, wasn't it? Yeah.
But, it was like early mid-80s one, so I had my old age on my side there. So at least I knew the first one, but it was, that was one of the questions that, let's just say, maybe got cut down rather slightly in the production. I think we could have probably had about a 2-hour show for how we were trying to explain some of our answers. Like, we had the answer, but we went to A to B via Z for some reason, and we're almost talking ourselves out of answers. But yeah, that was
that a lot.
Yeah.
I liked the music connection as well. Did that get passed from Apollos to Jukeboxers? Am I right in that? Barber's Adagio for strings, shampoo, haircut 100, scissor sisters.
No, I think the Apollos got that one, but I think we were discussing we got that one as well. But.
Oh yes, yeah. So it was just that Terry hadn't recognised Barber's Adagio, was it? It was yes, that was why. But yeah, I like that one. I thought that was a really nice take on the connection, because it wasn't just all in the title. It was a nice mix. And I thought the soul support sequence outcome, serve jam, stable police officer, that was a classic only connect question of putting something in front of something.
That's right.
Very much so.
Yeah, we've got some comments coming in. I'm trying to keep track of all of them. So Gerard says, on the show I said horned or horned viper according to taste, because yes. Good for you, Gerard. That's keep us on our toes. Paul D, who I've not seen before, welcome to you. Horned viper seems like a proper noun, but I'm flexible. Now there is we got other comments. Sheena was prominent 8081. That's from Gerard. Love the violin bass question. I think that's in the next series in the round 2. Talking of round 2, was anyone else shouting Christopher Reeve at the TV? Now this was a miss, wasn't it, for the Apollos?
Yeah.
So
how we didn't get that one?
Yeah. It was, I guess, missing the significance of it being the actor, because you knew the connection, really, didn't you?
Well, Terry,
yeah. So that's unfortunate. Other comments coming in. Nicola Benedetti, San Marino player, though. That was a Terry moment. I know Terry. I should have brought Terry on the stream. We could have been getting this from the horse's mouth. Terry's very, very good at his sport. He knows sport. So he probably does know a San Marino player with a name very much like that. So that's an unfortunate red herring that you had.
I'm still not sure how neither of us got it, because we both looked like we got it and then veered away from it. And if you notice, I said, is it somebody who plays the double bass? There's a miscommunication. I think you mentioned the double bass as well, Paul.
Yeah, we did. We between us we were going to and fro, and I think that, as I say, that was probably the only time we just went, right, we just pick one of the two because we're not sure, and pick the one. But
yeah.
Yeah, I thought George Formby was going to get an airing at some point there. So we really saved that. We were talking last week, and I don't know if anybody who was watching last week will know. We were talking last week about when teams come up with a sequence that isn't the sequence that was originally thought by the writers, and that it doesn't happen very often, but that when it does, they're very, very good about kind of calling it and saying, yes, you can have this. And we had this tonight with Ivy, XL, CD, and then M, I think was the answer proffered, wasn't it? Was that Apollos?
Yeah, I actually got that from the start pretty much. I'd actually thought of a question as a possible question in my head, months ago, and but I didn't think about the actual numbers, 440, whatever, 400.
So when you gave that answer, were you initially told no, it's wrong, and then it was handed over, or did they stop it at that point?
They did stop it and then have us rethink and then say yes, but then they made me say the answer again in a different way. But yeah. Okay.
So you didn't have the situation where the jukeboxers gave the originally thought up answer, and then they told you yours was right. Nothing like that, no.
No. They initially said ours was wrong as well, and then then they decided yes, that actually does work, and that's usually the procedure they.
Yeah, that was most unwelcome to find out that we had another point.
Well, I thought you got that one as well.
We did actually get it. We said it's 4,000, but we just for some reason got a blank with the Roman numerals. Like we knew 1,000 was M, but we just for some reason didn't put the sort of pieces together, and then it just sort of all sort of fell apart. Yeah,
I know Laura's there shaking her head somewhere, isn't she? Back at home. We discussed that a lot afterwards.
You still have won, so it doesn't actually matter. But
it is one of these things that does divide people sometimes. So we got a comment from James saying he didn't like it being given as the others were 2 Roman numerals together. But I think because it was just this sequence of the Roman numerals in order, it did work, just not as intended. As you say, it wasn't a contentious point that ended up costing anybody the game, which was good. Who was it that got the ASAF? It was Jukeboxers, wasn't it?
I think that was probably the one that I was probably quite happy with that we got, because we didn't know the first clue, but then kind of played it with the second and third clues, and I just thought, well, that's got to be the second clue's got to be ASAP. It seems like it. So then you're kind of making a ballpark guess of that's probably ASAF, and then it's ASA, and then AS or AS. So again, it's possibly could have guessed that on the second one, but guessed it on the third. And I think possibly on that show, as I say, maybe could have got a couple more points out of it just by guessing on the second. But by doing that, as the game is, it goes straight over to the other side and they have a chance to get more points. So it was 50-50 that one, whether to go on the second or the third.
Yeah, it was a good call, that one. If you didn't know who Asa Briggs was, then that's quite a risk. I mean, his book, The Age of Improvement, was a set text for me when I did A-level. I heard him speak. That was an absolute gimme for me as a route in. But if you've never heard of him, then it's just you're extrapolating what might work.
Well, for me, it would have been a Manchester City player from the 1970s, surname Hartford.
Asa Hartford, yeah.
So I'm old enough for that.
I remember Asa Hartford.
Yeah.
Who was the Xbox player? Was that?
It was Boys in My House. And a big Bhagwan, you're a gamer, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I sort of I said Nintendo straight away because I'm more of a Nintendo PlayStation fan. But I think that was another question where it was very much okay. I think we know this, but we don't want to risk it. And for some reason, I knew all along it was going to be sort of blue, but then that doubt just goes into your head when you're in that pressured environment in the studio. But that kind of sort of, I think Paul and I looked at each other and went, okay, it's a gaming question. We did get that. But it's one of those ones that, sitting at home, I think I would have got it straight away from the beginning. But when you're in that pressured environment, your brain becomes scrambled.
It does. And when the cost is only 1 point for seeing another clue, and you weigh that against the certainty of we'll definitely get it after this, against I know it's the right connection, but I might be slightly off, because if blue had come up in the third picture, you'd have been kicking yourself, So I think sometimes you have to weigh up that actually the reward of going early at that point in the sequence is not high enough to risk losing a point.
The case of staying in touch, as we know, we knew we were behind, not by a large margin, but we thought if we're not, certainly I was thinking at the time, when you have time to think about it, that this lead could grow if we're not careful. So we've got to stay on the pace.
Yeah, because by the end of round 2, you were 6-10 down, weren't you?
Yeah.
So you knew you needed a good wall. And conversely, Apollos, you must have been feeling pretty good about life at 10-6 up. What was your kind of feeling going into that wall? Was it still the pressure of the wall?
Yeah, it was. I still thought, we had a good chance. What I didn't realise is how much it's much harder doing the wall. Sounds an odd thing, but having to stand up somehow makes it hard. You've got to balance yourself and think about that as well, and do the wall at the same time. I don't know why, but I just found it harder doing them when I was sitting down at home. But
and of course you've got those perspex screens. So so you got all those sorts of things, but there was some very good captaincy. I mean, there were bits where captain was just going off cycling around answers. And you were up first, weren't you, Apollo? So your wall, you got most of them fairly early, and then it was kind of the Irish Books one, which was the key for you, wasn't it?
I think we kind of lucked in on the last one. We weren't 100% sure, but yeah.
Yeah, so you had Hollander, Petty, Jones, Clancy, which I think was seen very quickly. And then there's the Philippine, Comoro, Maldives, Seychelles. That was just perm 4 from 5 with Netherlands, wasn't it? And then Terry was pretty sure on Beach Boys. So yeah, it was again, you got 10 on the wall. You must have felt very happy going into Missing Vowels that you were in a fairly strong position.
Yeah, I must admit, I did think we were going to win after we solved the wall. After we got to the wall.
Had you ever done any buzzer quizzing before yourself, Tim? I know Terry has done some, but
no, I was going to say it's my first appearance on the TV quiz show. It's not the usual route. My first appearance on Only Connect. I mean, most people appear on other quiz shows first, I think, before they get to Only Connect. It's the only one I've been on.
Yeah. Whereas the Jukeboxers we've heard had all been on the Chase.
But I've never been in a quiz league, which is quite unusual.
Right. Yeah, very, very. So to do as well as you've done, and let's say you've got 16. Well, hang on, no.
We've got 20 after the third round. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah, and you ended up the show on 22.
That's right.
That's a score that would win most shows.
Yeah,
so,
we're third highest scoring team so far out of the 6.
Yeah.
You've got more than in the first match.
So I think we don't want any spoilers, but there's reasons to be confident about your prospects going forward.
Sealed.
But Jukeboxers, your wall, I thought, who had it got Travis?
I saw straight away 3 Travis tunes, and I think when I do watch old episodes, the titles of songs, obviously if I know them, I'll kind of find at least 3, and then I think looking back tonight, I didn't realise I got 3 quite quickly, and then Laura gave the 4th, so that's kind of where our dynamic does seem to work, that wanted us to start something. Then Bhagwan mentioned Jackson, I think that came out. Obviously Laura then gets the fish, and I think it was quite, not at the time, but it felt pressurised going in there because, well, we obviously knew we were going in second, and I think all 3 of us just assumed that the Apollos had got 10. So we were thinking the best we're going to be is 4 points behind in the final round, which I was going in there thinking damage limitate now. You can't guarantee you're going to get a wall at any time. And thinking, I reckon they've got 10. I think I just put it out of my mind and thought, let's just concentrate on this one, see how we go. And I think remembering at the time thinking we got it with a fair bit of time to spare, so we were quite pleased with that. And it did feel like a team effort, the ball. It felt as though all 3 of us contributed to it.
Yeah, Bhagwan, what was your feeling in that?
Yeah, it's quite because the way that it's filmed, and you don't actually have any idea how each other team is doing. So, because we went into the wall knowing that we were at a 4-point disadvantage, and we just sort of had in the back of my mind, okay, we just need to give this our absolute best shot as best as we can, because anything could happen. I mean, by all means, we would have had a second chance, but we just wanted to give it our best shot, really. But yeah, the fact that we sort of don't see it and you're taken away from the studio, and it just adds that extra pressure on, and you just sort of it adds to the nerves, I have to say.
Yeah, it is a very different experience doing that wall, because when you sat down comfortably in the studio, everything just has a momentum, but the wall takes you out of that, doesn't it? And it just
does.
Yeah. And it's a bit disconcerting not seeing your 2 colleagues. You're not looking at them. And obviously, during the other rounds, you're looking across, you're conferring. But in the middle as the captain, I'm not looking at the other 2, which seems a bit rude as well. But you are concentrating, but at least you're hearing things. I mean, we had the earpieces because of the perspex, which actually, having not experienced the other way, was still great. I thought it really worked. But the wall is interesting because you're literally in the middle, focusing on what's in front of you whilst taking comments from either side.
I thought your wall was probably the harder of the 2.
awful red herring with the 7 dwarves as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about that until tonight.
Same here, yeah.
Back, yeah.
Yeah, Doc and Bashful, etc. And Jackson was a really, I suppose, Stonewall. I'm not sure what else can go with Stonewall.
Well, that could have been
the Riot. But,
Confederate generals. But
yeah.
But yeah, and then say Travis is not. There was a time when they were much better known than they are now, and I think if I think of a song called Happy, it's not theirs anymore, even though I have the album that it's on. And Sing again, but Driftwood probably would have been the way in if I thought of it, but I didn't see it at all. Didn't have to see it at all until you got it. So well done on that. Wall, two very good Wall performances. Paul says the Wall makes me tense. Yeah. Excuse me. Try playing it. That's all I'll say. But in the chat, there is quite a discussion about sequences going on, which I can't even begin to summarise. Except we somehow got into sequences involving the members of S Club 7. So yes, and puns. We've now got S Club 7 puns. So what more can you want in a stream? Check that out later if you haven't seen that.
My intro fact was something about S Club 7 as well today. So connection there.
So going into Missing Vowels and 20 points to 16. Tim, I think quite rightly, you don't tend to get big swings on Missing Vowels, but we got 4 sets of vowels. Yeah, go on, Tim.
Yeah, I completely freaked out when you got the first 4. I thought, oh no, we're going to lose this one. I'm afraid it didn't affect me when you got the first 4 ones.
Did you?
I was on several, but I was just too slow for you. You beat me.
And that's it. It's those tiny margins that separate the teams.
I thought you decided to pass on everything. You've made that decision. Was that not the case, Paul?
No. I think it's just again, I watched past shows, and on some shows I felt I've been quite quick at finding them. But again, put yourself in the studio, you just don't know, and also you don't know what subject's going to come up. But I remember Laura saying afterwards she was waiting for Whoopee Cushion to come up. She was just waiting. It was a fight to the finish on that one. Yeah. And of course, I do that.
And it can be a good tactic of I think this will come up. So what is the first couple of letters that are going to come up from that? I remember things you can do at the YMCA was in one of my shows, and it's like you can have a good meal. So I'm looking for M and L at the end, and I was just waiting for it. But it meant I was slow on all the others. But I did get that one. The tactics can be interesting on Missing Vowels. Interesting comment, James saying Missing Vowels is everyone's favourite, isn't it? I suspect not for Tim anymore.
No, I'm afraid not. Not my strong point.
I
definitely get more when I'm doing it at home. I think the audience do see it a fraction before the play.
Yeah, they do. And Catherine says Missing Vowels is the only round I'm good at. Well, we all have that round that we're better at than others. It was a stunning round. There was one error on the part of Apollo's, which was and it's kind of understandable because you had to get in by that point. You had to start trying to reverse the trend, and it was just because we'd had Pretty Please and Pretty Please, and this is Pretty Please with a cherry on top, and it was just slightly off. But I think you can't blame somebody for coming in at that point. The Jukeboxers had scored so well in the joke shop, as you said, Tim, and we're doing well in that set. I think you had to go in. But so how did you feel at the end, Tim? When kind of the team pulled together, and when the dust settled, were you?
I was shocked. I really was. I was kind of stunned, really, just the way you just blitzed the Missing Vowels.
We were stunned.
Yeah, the 22 wasn't really enough to win, but yeah.
And the converse, Jukeboxers, you kind of, did that kind of set you up? Now going into the rest of the series, thinking, if we're down going into Missing Vowels, we're not going to panic because we know we've done it once.
I think that was, it's either a thought or your own get out. If you think you're not going to perform so well in the next round again, you feel on that one experience that we did feel we were quite fast on that. So if we're down and it isn't too far, we've managed to come back from 4. I don't know how far we'll be able to come back from on another show, but if we're in contention on our next show, then when we come to the missing vows, we feel we'd have a chance. So, and the difficult thing with the missing vows is that you're watching for the clues, but I certainly was in the back of my head. I was trying to tick what the score was, and because you don't see the score, nothing flashes up to show that after the first round of vows, what the score is. And I just remember thinking, as Tim said, we got the first 4, and although I knew it simply, arithmetically, that we were level, I was kind of trying to look across at the other 2 to kind of in the middle of it all go, is that us level? Is that us in the lead? But you're also waiting for the next question to come up. And I remember just at the end, kind of leaning back, looking at the other 2 and kind of whispering, I think we've done it. And in my head, I had the exact score, but he's like, no, I want you to tell me what the score is, because just in case. Pessimistic.
There is that moment, isn't there? And I don't think I can't remember if it's in a game where we won by that margin, but where you're not entirely sure. You've got a sense of how it's gone, but you kind of, you sat there and then Victoria gives you the score and you're just like, I just kind of, the tension just kind of dissipates. And when you've lost, equally, at least, that edge suddenly goes from where you are, because I've been that side of things as well. But yeah, I mean, coming out of the game, your first experience, both of you, of Only Connect, and Tim, your first experience of any TV quiz. What was your kind of overriding emotion coming out of it? Enjoyment, terror. I mean, what did you feel having done it?
Shock.
Neither really. Just some ways a relief that it's over.
But you had to do it again, obviously, which is.
Yeah,
So yeah, so what about you?
I wasn't as nervous as I thought I'd be. They make a point of relaxing you.
Yeah, and the production team is fantastic in that regard.
Really good.
They're wonderful, so good. Yeah, so good.
By the time you get into the studio, you are kind of just ready to sit down and play a game with your mates rather than play a TV show.
I was emotionally drained after my first match, because I don't think giving too much away. We played our second match on the same day we played our first match, and it was just kind of building up again to the second match, having had the disappointment of losing the first one.
So does that mean that Jukeboxers, you had the thing of winning your first game meant you had a day or so off, and then came back a couple of days later?
No, ours was coming back a couple of months later.
Oh, really? You're saying that? Wow.
Yeah,
okay. It was a long time.
Drove home that day. And then it's like, wow, okay. Obviously they said they'll be in touch and go from there, really. But I mean, the feeling coming out of there for me was obviously joy for winning. I still think if I'd lost that first game, would have still thought, what a wonderful experience. And just thinking I've got 2 great people on my team, and we managed to have that shared moment. That was just through life, just a wonderful moment that you shared with 2 great people. So you can win things and do things, but to tie it in with, sorry, Bhagwan, embarrass you, but you and Laura are great people. It was just we just got on so well, and then to get a result out of that was just the icing on the cake.
You haven't known each other that long, have you?
Well, no, it was, here we go, with COVID and stuff. When did it was 2019? Was the chase?
This was actually sort of the first time we'd all sort of met up post
together.
The chase, because our episode of the chase aired a couple of weeks before the country went into lockdown.
March
and then, of course, not being able to sort of see each other. And then, because Only Connect, they all did auditions over Zoom and stuff like that. So this is actually the first time we saw each other since the chase as well.
Yeah,
so
we planned to meet up and just couldn't do it. So
we were the only team to have a face-to-face audition, because we auditioned the year.
Wow.
They deferred us for various reasons. So
Right. So yes.
Gloucester Road, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get to do the whole thing of playing the game in front of Jenny and Hannah, probably, was it?
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, they are tremendous. As we said, we only said it many times on QUIZZY Monday over the last year and a bit that we've been doing this, that they, as a production team, they look after you so well. They make you feel so welcome and part of the family. And I know, Tim, you've joined the alumni group. I don't know if the other two of you have, but we've got an alumni group.
Yeah.
So, we're looking forward to the next reunion where we can all actually get together physically and down a few beers or not, depending on your tipple, and play the odd game if people want to. But yeah, it is a wonderful show. I'm glad you all had a really good time, and I look forward to seeing both teams coming up later on this series, because it's going to be 22-27. Those are just tremendous scores, and Tim, I have every confidence we'll see a good performance from you guys next, and likewise, Jukeboxers. The only thing that Gerard is asking is, we want some records from the Jukeboxers. He wants to hear some singing. Gerard is the singing captain. He wants to hear...
maybe not, but what we just said was we were disappointed because our icebreaker question on the show was literally, we had no rehearsal for it. Victoria said, right, can you all three of you name your favourite song of all time? And that wasn't broadcast, so she really put us on the spot before. So that was more scary than any of the questions we faced during the quiz.
It definitely was.
And it was like we managed it, but fortunately, we didn't have to sing it.
Yeah, that is fortunate. It's a bit of a killer. James is putting an advert out there. The S Club 7 chat is carrying on. Oh, hang on, not that one. I'm thinking I need to find 2 other people now to join me as a team on OC as the S Clubbers. So there you go. If you fancy being on a team with James and putting yourselves in. And Claire says, really looking forward to these matches, your next games, as we all. Just before we go, I didn't mention it earlier, should perhaps have done, the Connections Online Quiz League, which is being run by Online Quiz League, OQL, is still recruiting teams for its next series, which starts the 7th of August. Go to quizcentral.net if you want to play. It is basically only connect by another name. Instead of missing vowels, it's only consonants to avoid breaching any copyright. But it's played online between 2 teams. If you want to put yourself forward as an individual, or if you've got a preset team, you can apply for it. I encourage you to go ahead. I'm partaking in the next season. I'm sure there are plenty of other people on here who will be. So that's just a plug for John and the Connections Online Quiz League. Paul, Bhagwan, Tim, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate you kind of giving up your time. It's really, really appreciated.
Thanks for having us.
It's been lovely chatting to you. Maybe you'll come on later during the season to just comment perhaps either on your own matches or even on somebody else's match when you can do so without any pressure. Sure. But it's been lovely having you. Thanks so much for coming on. I just remind people, and now that this is me going to be going back to my inept operation of 2 computers. So at least I know the right button to press now. So just to remind everybody that we have here we are. The what is the question vote. Don't forget to vote at that, tinyurl.com/WITQ down. You can vote to that. The vote will be running through this week as we whittle the best questions down. So don't forget that. A recap of the winner of the Quizzer of the Week and Quiz Team of the Week. So congratulations to Dave, Bill, and the Outsiders. And don't forget to catch up on our latest video, which is about the new sports and events at the Olympic Games. And coming up this week, if I could possibly get it done, we've got some previews of the World Quizzing Championships coming, which is this weekend on the 31st. We've got some previews of some of the potential winners that are coming up. So look out for those short videos on all things quiz. But for now, thank you very much to everybody who's watched, particularly the S Club fans who've kept the chat going, to Paul, to Bhagwan, to Tim, and earlier to Matthew. And we'll see you next week. And until then, stay safe and happy quizzing. Thank you very much, everybody. And goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.